Hey, it's Matt here from P1 with Matt and Tommy, and we're currently being sponsored by Peloton. Peloton has what you need to achieve your fitness goals, no matter why you got started. From 4-week strength-building classes to running, indoor and outdoor workouts, and everything in between, Peloton is here to push you to achieve your goals, just like it already has for thousands of members worldwide. I got my first Peloton bike around the pandemic. It helps keep me on track with my own fitness goals, even around my crazy schedule. Find your push, find your power with Peloton at onepeloton.com.
Under Biden, Americans' cost of living skyrocketed. Food, housing, auto insurance. Lawsuit abuse is a big reason everything's more expensive today. Frivolous lawsuits cost working Americans over $4,000 a year in hidden taxes. President Trump understands the problem. That's why he supports loser pays legislation to stop lawsuit abuse and put thousands back in the pockets of hardworking Americans. It's time to make America affordable again. It's time to support the president's plan.
Hello and welcome to this. It is the EggChasers Rugby Podcast, the podcast about rugby that doesn't take itself all the game too seriously. I couldn't hear a thing then. I just did that completely off memory. Was that sound broadly right, Tim?
It was bang on, mate.
Yes, get in.
What a pro.
Well, this is the podcast that doesn't take itself all the game too seriously, and we watch the games so Tim Cocker doesn't have to. Or should I say, you watch different games now. We've broadened our rugby wings.
Well, I was at a Pro Dida and a top 14 game this weekend.
Well, there we go. Look at that roving reporter.
Yeah, so I can certainly chip in with a few thoughts there. But I am going to be doing the podcast and giving it my almost full attention, but I have definitely got my eye on, I would say, the biggest game in club rugby this weekend in Racing 92 against Stade Francais, the Parisian derby.
It is all of a sudden a massive game, as I understand it.
Massive, yeah. Van in the top 14 won yesterday. They were the bottom team, which means they're 1 point behind Perpignan and Stade Francais. And Perpignan play Stade Francais next week.
So, currently, Zach Henry is playing Owen Farrell to work out who's the worst English fly half in the top
14. Yes.
It really has. The top 14 really has exposed overrated Englishmen. Would you agree?
Nice to see Owen Farrell playing, and I'm sure he'll show his class.
Yeah, absolutely right. Lancaster's fallen.
Legend player.
Lancaster's gone.
Yeah.
Farrell's on the way out.
Possibly.
Zach Henry, no, not
It's
him.
not just Englishmen. Khaleesi's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's many a Racing fly half that has flattered to deceive, which makes you realise, like Johnny Sexton did not look good at Racing.
Did he not?
No.
Did he not?
No, he didn't. Finn Russell, I suppose they got to a final when he was there.
Dan Carter
did not look good at Racing.
Yeah,
so maybe it's the organisation, not the player.
Perhaps. I've got lots of stuff to say about organisations this week. A lot.
I'll get into the housekeeping quickly. Contact eggchasers@gmail.com. I'll pepper the podcast with some emails. Thank you very much for getting in contact. And are we good for Patreon?
You can do a Patreon.
Yeah, we should do a Patreon.
We can do a Patreon.
We've got loads to talk about.
You've already bought your loaf of tiger bread, Phil. So job's job. We can do the Patreon podcast.
I got strict instructions on the way here to buy. As I was basically pulling up, my phone went, you have to buy some bread for the morning.
Right. I assume they've found a substitute for tigers now in today's modern food chain.
For the tiger bread.
Yeah.
It's not real tigers in that, I don't think.
My daughter has got a sourdough, which she
cultivating.
She cultivates and bakes. So it's amazing. It's a game changer.
Claire went through a sourdough phase quite recently.
Well, most doctors do, mate.
Yeah,
they have proliferated a little bit, maybe too much.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yes,
completely agree.
Yeah, but it's good. Sourdough's always good.
It's like a disease of the affluent, isn't it? Like, it was too comfortable. What shall we do? Let's bake our own bread. Let's get an allotment.
I put my name down for an allotment about 4 years ago, and then got a email about 3 months back and just ignored it. Just went, nah, what was I thinking? Yeah. Of course not. What am I doing?
They're so scruffy as well. Like, you walk past the allotments, they don't look like, I really want to spend my time there.
Yeah. It might have been during COVID when I was kind of I think it might have been that when I applied. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Patreon.com/EggChasers, but we'll make sure there's a brand new episode there, but there's already some pretty there's a pretty spicy, interesting, fun and off the hook back catalogue that you can go and explore. We're at our most relaxed on the Patreon pod.
Very much so.
Indeed.
Yeah. And you can also get JB if you need any financial advice at Beardmore & Co. Financial Advisors. It's that time of year when, you might want to make plans.
Always that time of year when you want to phone a financial advisor.
For 25, 26 especially, you might want to make some plans. And you can find me, EggChasers Rugby on YouTube, and Phil lurking.
Hey, do you know where you can find me
lurking.
this weekend?
Oh, I do know, actually.
You know, Tim.
What, the weekend just gone?
This weekend, next weekend coming.
Let me guess, at a powerlifting competition.
I don't powerlift, I Olympic lift. But
Okay.
nevertheless,
What's the
I will
difference?
be in Dublin.
Oh, yes, Champions Cup.
So, thank you so much to the listeners that came through for me with Toulouse
Bordeaux tickets.
10 minutes after I booked my EasyJet flights.
Oh,
You can I don't want to tell you.
Sorry?
I don't want to tell you. You can cancel for free within 24
There's
hours.
just always a 24-hour cooling off period on flights.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
It's
matter.
true.
No, it's
Now that
not.
has elapsed.
No, it doesn't matter. No, it's not true. That's not the case.
Hope my flight smashes into the sea. That's all I hope.
Back 4 rows, apparently.
Hey.
Apparently, back
No.
4 rows, statistically, the best chance of survival.
I don't want to survive. If I can't see to lose Bordeaux, I don't want to survive.
Well, based on Bordeaux this weekend, I'm not sure it could not be the event everyone's hoping it would be.
Well,
Bordeaux looked bad.
Let me just point this out.
Sorry, Phil's beloved Bordeaux.
My
looked
beloved
bad.
Bordeaux.
If Northampton pull this off, I've made the right decision because that
Oh my God.
is simply the greatest game of rugby ever to grace the history of the universe ever.
Hey, and Leinster's B team were bobbins at the weekend as well.
I tell you what, Northampton looked bloody good.
We were debating the Northampton sphere last week, whether they would put the full team out, and I was certain they wouldn't, partly because a few guys are carrying knocks. I know Furbank's obviously only just coming back. Finn Smith picked up a heavy knock last week, so I was certain they would rest everyone and go full ball next weekend. They played the full team, and they played brilliantly, and the team talk must have been something along the lines of, we've got 1 game, potentially 2 games less in our season, we just have to throw everything at these couple of weeks, because nothing else matters.
Well, just on that, Saracens, 8 wins. Bristol, 8 wins. Gloucester, 8 wins. Northampton, 7 wins.
But
with 3 rounds to go. Yes, bonus points aren't in their favour.
They're 9 points off the top 4 at the moment.
Crazy things have happened. Because Gloucester are fragile, Bristol are fragile. Saracens, to me, are still the favourite.
Gloucester's fixtures are quite favourable.
Yeah.
Do they have Saints?
They had the 4 teams below them in the league. So it's Quins, Newcastle, and
Saints.
And
Saints and Exeter.
Yeah.
Because they've obviously hammered Exeter today.
Yes, so they do play Saints.
Yes.
So hang on, Exeter have got Saints next. Saints then play Saracens. So they could do Saracens and Gloucester.
Yeah, but it's too many teams to claw that many points back on. Because yes, if fine, you beat Gloucester, but Sale get another win, and
if Bristol
are done. Bristol are done.
We called it last week.
So Bristol are done. We've only got to worry about Saracens and Gloucester, and they play them both. I'm just saying. Not dead yet, which is remarkable.
Yes, it is remarkable. But the point of putting in the performance this weekend was not for their league perspective. It was entirely to take the form into next week. And they'll be having the conversation, those pampered Irish boys.
Oh, yeah.
They'll all have their feet up. They'll be having a pedicure.
They're probably still celebrating the Six Nations win.
We are grafting. We are going to roll into next week red hot. And that's what that game, they absolutely put Bristol to the sword.
Yeah,
they were brilliant.
I was watching a clip the other day of the last passage of play, Northampton-Leinster. They nearly did it last year. Now, I don't think that they are going to be as formidable as they were last year. But I'm hoping so, because I've spent a lot of money on it. That's all I'm saying.
You'll have a good day out regardless.
I'll have a great day out. And, do you know, it'll be a privilege to see Leinster in the flesh if they show up and do what they can do.
We've been to see Leinster before. We saw them against Exeter.
Saw them in the final. Saw them in final last year. I've seen them against Bristol.
Yeah.
Back in the day. I've seen them.
I mean, they've got some world-class players.
Yeah.
And even more so than last year, because you've now got Geordie Barrett.
Yeah.
RG Snyman watching those octopus arms. going to town.
Double World Cup winner.
How?
I wonder if that apparent rule, which Leo Cullen didn't confirm, but he also didn't deny, and he had a little smile on his face, so it's thought to be the case. I think there's a tacit rule with the IRFU that if James Ryan and Joe McCarthy are available, they start.
Really? Can they just figure out a way to put one of them on the flank?
Because you've got, what's his name? Ryan Baird is the one who can do that.
Conan as well, they've been playing at 6.
Conan, yeah,
Doris.
he can play 6
Doris
with
needs to
Doris.
start.
Yeah, and Van der Fleer, that's the back row.
I mean, the worst case scenario, you bring in RG Sneeman on for the last 30 minutes.
The worst case scenario.
Yeah, wow. When you put it like that, I wonder. Yeah, I don't think the same rule applies with Geordie Barrett, judging by how they've played in the Champions Cup. But anyway,
Well, they played Ringrose on the wing in one of the games, didn't they? I'm sure I saw that.
Yeah.
Just get the boys on the park.
Yeah, awesome.
But with all that said, come on, Northampton, because they've got
on,
loads
Saints.
of young English talent with a few bits of foreign talent as well, like Kemeny and Odendahl.
That pack is going to get absolutely battered.
It's going to be a tough day at the office.
It's not going to be like, they're just going to get battered. I can't see. I mean, if they can just get parity, they might be able to score some points. Because if you'd have watched Mitchell in particular yesterday, I watched it today. Sensational. Absolutely sensational.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to do something tactically excellent. Like, they're going to have to slow. It's like playing Ireland. You have to slow their ball down. So I think they might go. I don't know whether they'll go Kemeny. They might just go. Let's go all out.
Do you think though it's like
all out jackalers on the flanks and try and slow their ball down a bit like England did?
Just don't worry about them. Play your game. I think that's the only way.
Yeah, maybe.
This. You just we don't know what to do, so we're just going to attack as hard as we can, and we'll see what happens. I don't see any way. If you go out there thinking, right, we're going to blunt Leinster, you're dead. We're going to stop scoring, you're dead.
I think there is something in slowing the ball down, because ruck speed is when they are so deadly, and it's one area to target.
A lot of that comes from collisions, though, doesn't it? When you actually think about it, Leinster, when Leinster win or any team wins collisions, the ball is just on a plate.
We've spoken about this before. So Leinster, their first priority when carrying the ball is the next ruck, and you see it because sometimes you see them taking the ruck early just so the next one's quicker. And you think, oh, okay, this is actually planned. So, yeah, the collisions are important. They do that, but they'll use quick footwork. They'll get the ball to the ground early. They'll clear early. And that's where it all comes from.
But the matchup's quite an interesting one because Leinster are playing a lot less. They're kicking the ball a lot more. And Northampton love counter-attack ball. So that's a really interesting angle on that game.
Will Furbank be back, I wonder?
Yeah, he played this week.
Ram played, didn't he?
It was
50.
Furbank on the bench, might have been on the bench again.
He was definitely on the pitch.
It was Furbank.
I didn't see it.
Luke, I keep calling it's not, what's his name? Freeman and...
Oh, no, he was.
Slightholme.
I was sure he was on the pitch at one point.
Was he not on? Not in the squad?
Not in the squad, unless...
Oh, no, yeah.
Because Ram...
That's right, because there was Northampton Saints fans complaining that he'd been brought back too soon because he went off with a knock.
He did have a knock.
And he'll be important next week. Actually, it could be a case that none of the backs are important next week.
Because it never gets to them.
Yeah. I just look at the front row today. I was like, I love Langdon. Miller Mills and another bloke.
Eogan?
Yeah, it's not gonna fly, is it? It's just not. It's not a thing that's gonna happen.
Yeah. Davidson. Trevor Davidson is a great scrummager.
He's not fit.
Big, solid boy. But if you're going fast game,
I would have Davidson immediately.
Yeah.
Start him immediately.
Yeah.
And then just the back five. The back five as well, Leinster, are just unbelievable. Unbelievable. The back five and the front three, and then the replacements for all the front five and back three are all unbelievable. So that's where they're unbelievable.
What I want to wonder,
best of luck.
What I think they might do the South Africa bomb squad thing and start Furlong and Porter on the bench and bring them on after half an hour.
So start Healy and Slimani.
Yeah.
And then, because Dan Sheehan likes hat-tricks off the bench like he did to...
In the worst case scenario.
Ulster. Yeah, in the worst case scenario, he's scoring a hat-trick off the bench.
Great.
So in the Parisian derby...
Hang on. Just pause this.
Yeah.
I need to set his phone call.
We're back.
We are back. So I thought that phone call was going to be somebody telling me exactly what Tony Rowe said in the change room today. But nobody yet knows. I mean, we have an idea.
It doesn't take a genius to see a very angry Tony Rowe storm in and go off, admittedly without sound, but finger pointing and ranting and raving to work out roughly what happened.
And what was that hand gesture when he's ripping up imaginary contracts and throwing them in the bin?
What would you say if you watched your team get humbled 79-17?
Well, I think for the first time...
With, by the way, 12 of those 17 points coming in the final 10 minutes.
Yes.
Well, I think for the first time, Baxter's got a proper case to answer, and Baxter should be worried. That's what I think. For the first time ever watching rugby, the untouchable Rob Baxter, this is untenable.
Did that look like coaching failure?
Yes, it looked like a systemic
I didn't see the game.
It looked like it was a consequence of coaching decisions. And what I mean by that is Baxter consciously let his team fall apart. Or not fall apart. He took his team apart and tried to rebuild, and the rebuild has failed. So was it systemic coaching failures in this game? Maybe, like when they were repeatedly failing to stop the driving maul, when there was offload after offload after offload, and they're breaking through left, right, and centre and finding the wings, then pulling it back inside. Yes, a bit of that is all coaching, but more macro. This Exeter team is in the position they're in directly because Baxter has tried to rebuild and failed. I don't think that Baxter should be.
Did they not win last week?
At risk.
Oh no, they almost beat Bath last week,
but they didn't.
Well,
no, but they looked a lot better.
They did.
What happened at Bath is Bath had already won it, and Bath were like, fine, we'll just.
But you can lose narrowly to Bath. That's on any given Sunday.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, but the reason was Bath just said, enough now.
They got their bonus point.
Yeah, we're going home. So I'm not sure that's a fair representation.
Well,
Rob Hunter.
Why didn't Gloucester say the same thing when they were 36-0 up after half an hour?
Gloucester want them dead. I think Gloucester wanted them dead.
I just don't understand how that logic about Bath. Bath had already won the game, so I'll explain the 80 minutes by Bath. Bath had won the game, but then
it's perfectly feasible that two teams take different decisions.
And Bath also have got two competitions to worry about. Gloucester have only got one.
Yeah, it's also perfectly feasible that Exeter actually played quite well last week.
Rob Hunter
their fans were like Tribe Talking, for example. They were much more buoyant about Exeter's performance.
I guess you would be, because
little shout to those boys.
They are a couple of points off beating the league leaders, but this really brought it home.
And the performance was good.
Yeah, but
the defence had heart last week. It did not this week. Clearly,
it's more than that, Tim. It's more than that.
I'm not trying to defend a 79-17 defeat. What I'm trying to say is that 1 week ago they objectively played well.
No. 1 week ago they were terrible. And
no, they weren't.
No, they are a terrible team. Right? They are objectively.
1 week ago they were not terrible.
No. They had a dead cat bounce. They did okay on that day.
A dead cat bounce. What does that mean? Like a dead cat, but bounce from what?
Because they're dead. It's dead. The cat is dead, and it's hit the floor and it's bounced.
Has it been dead for a while?
This is a dead cat. This team is a dead cat, right? It has been dismantled. They've tried to put it together.
What's changed in a week? What's changed since last week?
Well, no. What changed between the week before and last week? That's really the question. So they've been terrible all year. And if you don't believe me, look at the league table.
You don't need to convince me that they've been poor.
Okay, so nothing changed.
Well, yes, so that's what I'm saying.
I don't need to convince you. Why am I talking?
So, what I'm saying is, when you look at performances. Last week, Exeter fans were saying, "There we go. We might have lost, but I'm good. I feel positive about that."
Psychologically, it's easy to feel positive when the league leaders don't show up in the second half, and that's exactly what happened, right? So you might be learning the wrong lessons by thinking we did well, and I think looking at today's result, 100% what happened, because when a team just carries on hitting ex-Chiefs over and over again, they've got no answer. And it's unacceptable because the team was disassembled and everyone thought, well, okay, so do something completely different. Give Rob Baxter time to do that. But this was more than that because that team had, 10 internationals in there? Maybe 8? I mean, they've got...
Well, exactly. So when I look at the back five of that scrum, I go, yeah, that can do a really good job in the Premiership. Rossi Tuima,
David
Jenkins has been
He's
ace.
captain.
He's really good.
And Fisselau.
Roots, Fisselau, Vincent.
And with Vermaelen coming off the bench as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
streets off to Saracens, and you've got Yendel with 100+ Premiership appearances, and
Who's just re-signed
for about 1/4 of his salary, I imagine.
and Scott Seo.
Right. So my point is, those players are not leading. Those players are not good enough. The culture within the Chiefs has dissipated completely, because one of the things you'd say about Chiefs is that they always try hard. Like, that was not what I saw was not trying.
Yeah, like last week.
I mean,
they did try hard last week.
Tried.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah,
They did.
tried. But look at the league table.
Again, I don't know why you're having an argument with me that I'm not instigating. I'm not trying to defend Exeter Chiefs. What I'm trying to say is you're saying that it's universally bad
It is.
across the board, week in, week out.
It is.
So that when there's a close game, you say, yeah, the opposition weren't good.
That's true. That is true. All those things are true.
Right.
That's exactly. You've summarised my position perfectly.
The Bath team themselves described it, the dressing room afterwards, as being like a war zone because Chiefs came from that hard. So it's just, I think it was maybe the motivation of being in front of their home crowd. I don't know. For whatever the reason is.
There probably is some of that. I do think Bath.
Look at the reaction of Tony Rowe. If you don't,
I do think Bath last week, they were 26 points up after 28 minutes, and then
6 points to
and
nil.
then they it wasn't nil because Exeter had scored. They were 26 points up to 7 or something like that, but they did switch off. Bath switched off, and it does. Exeter played well in that second half. They came back into it. So it's not that there are. I don't think Exeter are totally done. As in, they've had a lot of heart this season where they've lost narrowly to better teams than themselves. But this week was just a complete failure.
Yeah,
This week was
clearly
appalling, and we've never seen Exeter do this in any guise. When Baxter was new into the league and had a load of kids and a load of players from the Championship. We've not seen it when they were at the top, but they had an off week. We've never seen this version of them.
And to emphasise that point, that this is the outlier, is that
the scoreline is a complete outlier to Exeter.
Their points difference, negative, has doubled pretty much
in this week.
One match. So you've had 15 games, and in the previous 14, their points differential is the same as it was in this one game on its own.
It was about minus 80 before this game, and now it's minus 140.
So I would say that also tells a story. The interesting part is what happened in this game. Was it just a match-up? It's got to be more than that. It's got to be more fundamental. I would stop short of going, oh, it's the coach. He's lost the dressing room. That feels a bit football.
Well,
I think there are people. I think this will be a bit of a watershed moment. So I don't think people should be doing this, but I think people will be saying Baxter's got to go.
I'm not sure he has to go, but
I definitely don't think he has to go. I think that's the wrong thing, but I think people are already saying it.
I think it's time to consider it.
I wouldn't, but
I'm not saying you do it, but I'm saying nothing's off the table, because that sort of performance is unacceptable, and it's come from effort. So the one thing you'd say about Exeter, you know you've always been in a game. Rob Baxter had the privilege previously of being able to tweak things here or there because he's got a base of a good rugby team. That has disappeared. So this is not the base of a good rugby team.
Should we have questioned Phil Dowson's position when they were nilled at home to Leicester?
How many games did they win in the season at that point? Those were defending champions. Like, Exeter were not defending champions.
No, they're not.
They've got 3 wins all season. Right? They've taken apart European Cup champion team, and they've tried to do something completely unique. It's a risk, and that's why we respected it so much, because it is a risk. And if it's guaranteed to succeed, everyone would do it.
Bath 68, Saracens 10.
Again,
was a performance earlier in the season.
Again, same thing. Did Saracens just completely disassemble their squad one season to the next? No.
On that match, they had Itoje starting, Ezekwe starting, Jamie George starting, McFarland, Earl starting. Liam Williams was in their team at that point, and Alex Lazowski. So, they put out a almost full-ball team and shipped 68 points to Bath. Point being, maybe, and on the same day, Northampton beat Newcastle 61-0. So,
but we're still talking about a team with 3 wins.
My point being, I think it's quite reactionary, and trends is much more important. And Exeter have lost a lot of games this season, but I think that's probably reflected by the quality of their squad, isn't it?
Correct. And whose fault is that? Whose fault
I
is
mean, that is on Baxter.
Well, okay.
But then, so the question... Like,
I'd love to know how much they're spending on the squad, because that would be a judgment.
That would be one other thing I'd mention, okay? So before I launch into Baxter again for this, because buck stops at him, you are right. There could be financial constraints. And one of the things which I understand is that there is a lot of money to be repaid next year. Wasps-style money to be paid next year. And when that comes about, all the money that they've borrowed to do the stand and whatnot, Exeter are going to be in some real bother. So it looks like they've taken a bit of a risk now, bringing on, is it Len Ikitau?
Ikitau, yeah.
Will be on a lot of money.
For a year.
Lot of money.
Yeah. What a signing, by the way.
Is it only 1 year deal?
It's a 1 year deal because he's going back to Australia
for the World Cup.
For the World Cup. So possibly there might be an agreement that will come following the World Cup. That would make sense.
In, out.
But
just on its face, that is an amazing signing for the Premiership. But bearing in mind how many players have been leaving the Prem, Len Ikitau is class.
Yeah.
Yes,
so that
agreed.
Is good. But I think the future for Exeter might not be that rosy because of the finances, because of the squad. You then have to ask, has Baxter just built this squad because of the finances?
Yeah. So,
or is this what he wanted to do?
There is a real question there. Did Baxter tell Tony Rowe and the board and everyone else involved, this is what I am doing, but this is going to turn around? Or was Baxter told, you've got $3 million? Yeah. Like, you cannot. There is no way you can re-sign a Bracer Simmons.
He's on the board, right?
Cowan-Dickey.
Rob Baxter is not only director of rugby; he is on the board of directors. He's been at the club since he was a player.
Yeah, 30 plus years.
30 odd years. It's in his blood. He loves it. So I can well imagine Rob Baxter was the person that looked at the balance sheet and said, "Do you know what? We need to get a squad out of this much money for the good of this club." Even if it, whereas other coaches, and this is why they cannot get rid of Rob Baxter, other coaches are interested in themselves, and therefore they would be going to Tony Rowe, I need more money, I need another player,
more money.
Because it's wrecking their reputation.
Yeah, you won't get an argument out me.
I think that is exactly right as well.
But this is a train wreck.
But it does, like, depending on how that conversation went, who instigated what position, it is a completely different
scenario. Do you know
scenario.
what my feeling is on this squad? My feeling is there's definitely some financial pressure. But I think they wanted to do this. I think they thought they could find value, find great players, and then redo them on the cheap when the salary cap went up.
Yes.
So like lads like Fislau will have re-signed they have re-signed a lot of money. So I think there's a bit of both.
And I think on this podcast we were fairly positive about the young lads that he's assembled.
Last year I was completely on board.
When
after this.
With Tashunza and Daffy Jenkins and Fislau, Rusty Tuima, we thought they had they've certainly got close to the size of a high caliber pack.
Yeah.
But they're not quite.
9, 10, 12 is bad. There's Faye Waboso's arguably their best player.
And Brown Bampo is a good player. Josh Hodge is a good player. But you're right, 9, 10, 12
is just not. And Joe Hawkins has been such a disappointment.
And the 2 and 3 as well. 1, 2 and 3 actually.
Agreed.
So they've got a good back five of the scrum, as we said before, and a good back three, and everything in between, or the front row and the bits in between are
1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 12.
Yes, that's it.
There is one criticism of Baxter which is completely legit, which is he has never been able to replace himself.
Yeah.
So
he's tried.
Every time he's tried to step back, bad things have happened, and he's had to come back in. I don't know why that is. At the moment, he isn't. Well, is he head coach? Isn't Rob Hunter head coach?
Rob Hunter's head coach. He's director of rugby.
Yeah. So he stayed at director of rugby, but could that change before the end of this season, or even?
They've tried Ali Heifer. They've tried everything. And every time Baxter steps away, whatever he's built underneath him has never been strong enough.
What were the comments after the game? Was it Rob Hunter that did it?
It was Rob Hunter, yeah. And it was like learning stuff isn't just something you do one game, referring to Bath. It's what you do every single game, and we haven't learned our lessons. And it was kind of,
I mean, what do you like? Yeah, but you're always going to get a media trained response on that, aren't you?
I think pick up the phone, do the right thing, and call Steve Diamond. Call him.
Dimes.
He'll take the call.
Who made it all about himself at the Newcastle game, didn't he?
Who else could it be about? Who else would it possibly be
I
about?
know.
Well, Dimes
He wanted to have a pint watching the boys.
No, he knew what he was doing.
Dimes
Made it all about him. Do we need to go over what he got banned for? A little bit of humility, Dimes. A little bit
No one is more humble than Steve Diamond.
What definition of the word humble are you using there?
The dictionary, the dictionary definition: it is a man in a tight black t-shirt drinking a pint, minding his own damn business, boys.
It's like when some amazing, like when Noah Lyles says, "I'm humbled to be the fastest man in the world." No, you don't mean humble. You literally do not mean humble. That's not the definition. LeBron James, I'm humbled to be a 20-year NBA All-Star.
Yeah.
No, you're not humble.
I would just like to thank God. Why? Because he likes you more than me. Like, is that why? The least humble thing to say.
The Parisian derby, by the way, second half has just kicked off. And
come on, Faz.
Come on, Henry.
Stad are 10-8 up. Nolan Le Garrec has left his kicking boots at home and missed about 5 points of kicks.
Ooh.
So it's 8-10, tight. And I would say that the Racing head coach at the minute, Patrice Calazzo, is the Steve Diamond of French rugby.
Ooh.
He's a feisty, fiery alpha dog.
Sounds like...
Oh, Racing are in.
Who?
It was Nolan Le Garrec scored the try.
Le Garrec. He should be banned.
Yeah, absolutely. He shouldn't even be on the field.
That's big.
Disgrace.
I tell you what, I want Racing to win.
Why?
Because next week... Right, so let me just reiterate.
Go on. Tell
the
me.
bottom of the top 14, Van, who have by a mile the smallest budget, are on 35 points and got an amazing win at the weekend at home to Toulon, who are third.
Yeah.
Second bottom, Perpignan, 1 point more, 36, and tied with them on 36 points is Stade Francais. Next weekend, Perpignan in 13th, play Stade Francais in 12th.
Oh, my word.
Oh.
Guernsey head coach.
Yeah. And...
Oh, my word.
Yeah, so Stade Francais, with a billionaire owner, are staring down the barrel.
Do they play the repertoire or whatever it is?
Bottom place, 14th, goes down to the Pro D2, and 13th plays a playoff match where they go to the home of second place.
Well, now it's probably good.
And that could be Courtney Lawes' Brive.
Ace.
Well,
right.
they're second at the moment.
So that was my next question. What does the second place team look like? Are they capable of taking on a Racing or a Stade?
Well, so the way that the playoffs in Pro D2 works is that the top 6 qualify for the playoffs. The first round of playoffs is third playing 6th, fourth playing 5th.
This is in Pro D2?
Pro D2.
Okay.
And then the winners of those 2 games play the top 2 away in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
And then the final, it's a grand final Pro D2, is played at a neutral stadium the same weekend, the same stadium as the top 14 final on the Friday night. And the winner goes straight up to top 14.
So you could have
the loser plays.
So you could have played 3 knockout games, come second in the final, and then have to pick your... Oh, that feels like an unnecessary...
It feels very unfair, that.
Yeah, Montpellier only just managed to beat... I forget the team it was last year. Might have been Colomiers, but they only just managed to beat them in that game.
In that game.
Wasn't Carcassonne, was it, or something?
Carcassonne, I think they're in the league below that, so I think it might have been... I think it was Colomiers.
Yeah, because a few years ago, it was Biarritz versus Bayonne.
Oh, yeah, with Stefan Armitage scoring the winning drop goal. I was in Biarritz Thursday, Friday night.
This weekend.
Tell me about it.
Oh, my God. Right. What I'm going to say is, and you've been saying for years, France is the future.
I have.
It's just so much better. I cannot explain having been to a Pro D2 match, a top 14 game. I also went to a local club on the Friday night and played a match for an English touring team.
Amazing. Amazing.
Cool. I was going to be going to...
Right, stop there. Let's talk about that. Who do you play for?
Well, on the Thursday night at Biarritz...
No. Fuck them.
Yeah, I was going to say, I met the lads from Old Mill Hillians.
Oh, awesome.
At the
Saracens country.
At Biarritz against I've forgotten who they played. Doesn't matter. Whoever, it'll come to me. At the Biarritz game on the Thursday night, met them, chatted. I saw there was they're English. I just, what are you boys doing here? We're on tour. Blah blah blah. Anyway, I had a couple of beers.
Awesome.
we're short players. Do you want to play tomorrow night? I was like, well, we're meant to be going to Mont de Marsan, but yeah, go on then.
Why not?
So went to
Dream.
Anglet Olympique, which is it was beautiful sunshine, the most amazing setting, an amazing pitch. It's like the sea and then a little woodland, and then carved out of the woodland is their ground. It was unreal. The first team plays in the 4th division, but Old Mill Hillians played against kind of it was a bit of a Mitch scratch team. There was a bunch of youngsters there. And the French team I think they won 6 tries to 3. I did get one of the tries, thanks for asking.
Yes. Playing 10?
Still got it. Playing back row, but
are you
a
rugby professional? Kind of.
What I will say is under the current high tackle laws, you can tell I haven't played properly since those laws have come in. I went to tackle the ball here, quite a few times. But it was absolutely awesome. But it's so rugby, and it makes you fall in love with rugby all over again. You get this at Didsbury all the time.
Indeed.
But there was the touring team, the presentations at the end. I kept going up to the bar and, to get a beer, and I'd go to offer, and they not, and they were giving the English players just beers. Food was coming out, songs were being sung. It was absolutely awesome.
Have you seen that video doing the rounds of the brass band in the change room? Which team is that?
Brass band. Oh, that was Van this weekend when they won the game.
Is that what it is?
That was them doing their song after the game when they won.
It's absolutely superb.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been calling for brass band at Sale Shocks for a long time now.
But what I will say, just so there's that was an amazing experience. You would get that in England. What you would not get in England, going to the Bayonne game, and because it was a big derby match against Pau, the whole weekend was French derby weekend. There was loads of derbies. Walk into the stadium, the Real Sociedad Stadium in San Sebastian. Have you been there?
Nope.
Oh my God.
Nope.
The food, the pinchos, the little like the tapas you have with a beer, the octopus that I had, the pulpo, which was I can only describe it as octopus bacon. It was unbelievable.
My 2 favourite animals.
It tasted unreal, and a bit of bashed cheesecake to wash it down.
That sounds superb.
But so 32,000 people. Manu Tuolangi played a blinder.
Awesome.
Scored a try. Bayonne won. And
you calling for him to be a Lions bolter?
He's playing damn well. I'll tell you what.
As good as
he's playing so well.
As well as Mayasi White, who apparently is the next Tuolangi.
He's the next Tuolangi, apparently.
Allegedly.
You don't need the next Tuolangi, you got Tuolangi. Yeah. Anyway, walking to the ground, what really struck me, the age profile of rugby fans in France. So much younger than England.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Wow.
And when I was looking around, I said to I was with Joe Worsley and Dougie from the Mall Over podcast. Those guys are starting making pods again, by the way. Mall Over,
good lads.
Stuff. So go and check out the Mall Over podcast. Anyway, I was there with those boys, and I looked around and I looked at them and I said, "This looks like a football crowd," and rugby in France is like football without the threat of violence.
Although there is occasionally the odd fight. I don't know if you've seen. There are some interesting fight videos.
Perpignan fans, are known for that a little bit. But it's the noise, the chants, the age profile, I just like the edge that you felt in the ground. I was just so jealous. I loved it, and I was thinking. And part of it is the ticket prices are affordable in France. And that on the Thursday night in Biarritz, it was the same. It was a load of kids that had gone for their Thursday night. They're just like with the ultras just
do you think,
bouncing around.
Do you think maybe... when you look at the Premiership Sale Sharks, there are a lot of kids there, but it's not the same atmosphere.
No, but it's kids that are with their dads.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, yeah.
The kids that go to Sale Sharks are they're like 11-year-olds.
No, Biarritz and Bayonne, it was clearly like the teenagers. The teenagers, them that had gone, I'm going to the rugby today, Mum. Fine, off you go. See when you get home. And they're off in like a pack of lads going to the rugby. You just don't see that at rugby union matches in England because it's too expensive.
And to the AJ Bell, how would they get there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like the buses are really good now, but
you used to get it at... at the Willows.
Oh, the Willows. Okay.
Because there was houses around there, so you would get groups of lads. But it's because of the location. You had lots of terrace houses in the surrounding area. And it was affordable back in the day.
Stockport would be all right for that.
Edgeley Park? Yeah, but
Yeah.
well, that's not bad for it.
Yeah, how you get that's a really... In fact, maybe that's a really important question. Because
That might even be a bigger emphasis on it than I thought. But I did think that it's very typical of English rugby. I mean, so what we did for the weekend, and the videos will come out on the FR UK channel that I've got. But the mission was, we calculated how much it would cost to go to Bath for one game. So train ticket, match ticket, hotel, and a bit of food and drink.
Yeah.
And I only accounted £50 for food and drink.
Food and drink, yeah.
I calculated that for any of us to go and have a Premier Inn hotel room, match ticket, train, and £50 for food and drink would be...
Are you drinking that champagne with a straw?
500 quid?
Yeah, like 380 quid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So on that basis, flights, hire car, food and drink, match tickets, for Biarritz, for Bayonne, on the beers with rugby teams and stuff, and it was about the same amount of money. For 3 days.
So when we went a few years ago to New York, it might have been the time we went to Philly, but anyway, the flights, I remember this vividly, the flights to New York were £320. If you want a peak return from Manchester to Euston...
First class?
No, not first class.
Yeah.
If you just want a standard peak return, it's £380.
If you got on the day, and if you had first class
so that's just...
Is it?
That's just the standard peak return. So if you're travelling... like 7 in the morning, like working hours, so you get to London for 9 a.m. and you're travelling back at, say, 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., that's what the ticket costs.
Jesus Christ.
That is just what it costs in that. Like, you could buy that a month before. That's what it costs. It's £380 is a peak return.
Well, let me tell you, the tram sale sharks, £2.70.
That's cool.
And get media accreditation, it's free.
Yeah. I mean, you can, like, from here to get to Sale, if you were a 16-year-old, you could get the tram to the Trafford Centre, and then they put on a free bus, or it's like £2 the bus, isn't it?
Interrupt. Faz is taking a conversion. Rassinger 18.
He's going to miss it.
Faz nails it. 2010.
Faz does not miss conversions.
Mainly because he doesn't take them much this season.
LeGarrick and Lancaster.
I saw Zach I hung out and
Kibarigi.
with Zach Kibarigi.
How is he?
He's at Biarritz. Yeah, he's loving life.
So he'd spent a bit of time in Western Australia as well, hadn't he?
Western Force, yeah.
Yeah.
When Wasps went bust.
Well, let me just talk a little bit about something which you touched on then, about the age profile of rugby union. Something that's come across my radar this week, and probably as you come across your radar, but we've never spoke about it. Have you seen the Run It Straight thing?
Oh, with Namani Dandolo and...
Is that who's doing it?
Yeah, it's very... do you know what? I saw that and thought, this is the sort of thing that JB's been years ago asking for.
And I'm like, hang on. We've got kids, young boys, right? Let's be very clear about this. The key demographic for rugby isn't LGBTQ HR women with degrees, right? Which is what we're told we have to target all the time, because otherwise the game can't possibly grow, right? And that the actual core market is young men that love aggression.
Yeah.
And what have they done? Like, so think about sevens. Sevens is the opposite to what you should do. Let's distill all of the skill and have it in a game. Don't care. Not interested. There's some really skillful things out there, like juggling.
Trendy coaches like to tell you that rugby's a non-contact sport.
Absolutely, right? So
or you should attempt to make it as much non-contact as possible.
Yeah, avoid the contact, shut up, right? Nadolo, who actually knows a thing or two, just by playing, knows what he loves, well, we'll just run straight into each other. Well, that is the essence of the game. We will run straight into each other. No, very few young lads grew up thinking, oh, I'm looking forward to avoiding contact today. And if they do, they never play again, right? So those are not your key demographic. I was like, it's obvious. And like these events have got young lads everywhere. People are going crazy for it. And it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
It is brutal. It's
almost too brutal.
It reminds me, it is almost too brutal. Some of it is too brutal. It reminds me of the Dana White slap thing, where it is just...
Ooh, yeah.
It's right on the edge.
I'm not sure about that.
It is right on the edge.
I don't like that.
It's almost unnecessary.
Are brutal.
Yeah.
Like, some of the collisions are absolutely brutal, but that's what they love. I mean, we don't really see how brutal rugby is because I guess we're a little bit conditioned to it. And until you're actually on pitch side, and
it is low down pitch level, pitch side. That's when you really get the sense of physicality.
When it's an international game, you're like, actually, this is just as brutal as that. It's just got a different. This has just got a sort of different feel to it. But international rugby is very brutal. Something else happened this week, right? Which made me think of that. Which just makes me think the authorities have no idea what they're doing. Did you see the knockout on Cam Anderson?
Anderson, the winger.
And said, we can't show that again because of the nature of the incident. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If it's dangerous enough for it to happen to him, I mean, unless it's like something gruesome, you can show that. You can show it. And they should have showed it. And it's the same as the Run It Straight League. It's like they are deciding what we should like and what we want to see, rather than letting what
we're allowed to see.
Yeah, what we're allowed to see.
Do you know what? If there wasn't a market for this, and if people weren't interested in big collisions, Run It Straight will die a quick death.
The market will
decide, and that's what I don't understand. And to your point, the not showing that clip, the decisions that have been made, the press releases that have been put out, the campaigns that have been started, are people trying to engineer the market,
completely,
not let the market decide.
Regulate the market.
Today, not today. Again, it was yesterday's game, but they keep on trying to get the Red Roses references in on the BT's Discovery Sport, whatever it is, TNT, whoever they are. They keep mentioning the Red Roses. Stop it! No one cares. Literally nobody watching this broadcast cares. Well, someone might.
Yeah, there will be
very few people.
The Venn diagrams is not nearly as overlapped as they would suggest.
They would be much better on TNT to show the Run It Straight League. I mean, they'll never do it. But if they had half a brain,
why wouldn't
the
they?
Hitometer thing in the early days of
Smashometer.
Yeah,
that's very different. To the
I mean, it is
very different.
But that's more. It's closer to the Run It Straight challenge.
The closest thing I've ever seen in the BT Sports studio, right, to the Run It Straight League is when Deontay Wilder knocked out the mascot. That's the only thing which I've seen.
My God, that is the worst clip. That is such a bad... You reminded me of that. That is one of the worst clips I've ever seen. What was he expecting? He just lays into...
Wham, dead. That's the only thing that I can think which is close. But of course, you couldn't get a brain cell between the people that produce that league and the things they want to ram down your throat. So that's why we are where we are.
No, it was good to have last weekend after the rugby review. There was a programme about
climate change.
About how
does rugby address climate change?
How can we use rugby to address climate change?
I've no idea. How do we use...
That was an actual show on the TNT Sports schedule.
I know. How do we use dyslexia to solve shoe size differences? It just makes no sense.
Have you read about either everythingism?
Everythingism, yes,
which is what it's referred to in the UK, or the everything.
Yeah, we need to weaponise learning difficulties to solve gender equality. Why?
Yeah, it's the approach that's taken in Western society where basically anything is used to solve all other things. So why, like, any construction project needs to provide social housing and also be opportunities for local people, and also need to be painting local schools, and also like
it never stops.
Yeah, you put all of these like tertiary obligations, and it just grinds everything on business and anything else, and it just grinds everything to a
This
whole.
might be a good one to stick a pin in now, and maybe we can just take it. We can discuss it in its fullest on the Patreon podcast.
That's good, because I've got a lot more things to say.
Yeah, I could see you have, and I know you have. And when I saw the Run It Straight, I thought, this is a little bit like the ideas that JB was coming up
Hey,
with.
wait till I get Rugby 8s going. Like, Rugby 8 is going to be absolutely dynamite.
Well, just on the... So, to take it off that, but pull us back to this week's rugby and something that you just touched on, the Anderson yellow card and then red card.
Yes, let's talk about that, because that's interesting.
Because, I mean, I just rewatched the red card one.
It's brutal, isn't it?
It is. I mean, he doesn't get off the ground. He's running full pelt. Freddie Stewart, 105 kg Freddie Stewart is going full pelt.
I guess the only thing I can say about that is, and I'm not saying this flippantly, I genuinely am not saying this flippantly, he could be dead. Like, he could, he could actually be so seriously injured then he might never play again.
Potentially.
I mean, because I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That's the only defence I can think of.
It's an absolutely sickening knockout.
But that's the game, isn't it?
Well, no, it is a risk, but he got a red card for that because he needs to learn. Like, and I really mean, like, it's to see the referee, like, they're putting a neck brace on him. They're getting the stretcher out, and the referee's giving this poor boy, who's probably still not conscious.
Cam Anderson's probably thinking it can't get any worse, can it? He opens his eyes.
He's not thinking anything. He's still in the land of the fairies. But I guess my point is, so he gave away a yellow card for doing exactly the same thing in the first half.
Yeah.
First 5 minutes of the second half, he didn't learn.
So I've got some things to say about this, right? So first of all, the whole point of a red card and a yellow card for technical infringements is to sort of change behaviour. Like you say,
you go learn.
I do not think there was a better learning experience for Cam Anderson
than getting knocked out
twice, worse off to
Freddie Stewart, 105 kg.
Yeah, he's gone up against Freddie Stewart first half, and he's got absolutely whacked.
Yeah.
Fair play, he goes up again, this time he gets knocked out cold. He's never doing it again. He doesn't require cards. Like, but don't go up against Freddie Stewart. What's wrong with the boy? What's wrong with the laws that think we need to card a guy? I mean, that is the outcome is that. Now, what the laws say and how the referee interprets it, I think is also nonsense. He wasn't in a reasonable position to catch it. My view would be, if Freddie Stewart wasn't there, he would have caught it. So, like, if you put me on the field and I've got to go around Caden Murley and score a try, I can't do it. This is not reasonable for me to do it, but it's perfectly reasonable for Aaron Reid to do it or Tom Roebuck to do it. So the reason it's okay is because Cam Anderson is a professional athlete. If he thinks he can reasonably get the ball, no one should say, well, reasonably not. He can get the ball, and his punishment is smashing into Freddie Stewart twice. And that's why you learn. He should never do that again because it's stupid. So
I agree with the second part of that, but the first part, it is context specific. If there is no Freddie Stewart, he takes the ball, but there was Freddie Stewart. But then we're in this sort of weird kind of grey area where two players go up for the ball, and I guess the ref could say, well, Freddie Stewart is the better player, therefore I think that Cam Anderson shouldn't have gone up for the ball. No, because it's not that. Because the way it's judged is, does he get off the ground? He did. No, in the second one. Did he not get off the ground for the second one? He definitely did for the first. I've just rewatched it about 20 seconds ago. Okay. He did not get off the ground. Okay. He's basically just running full pelt and makes almost no attempt to jump. Freddie Stewart makes a good attempt to jump. He's one of the best in the world in making good attempts to jump. Well, definitely one of the first off, he left the ground. I thought, that's a really good attempt to catch. The second one, let's see if I can pause it now. Here we go. Let's just watch this. See if I can spin this round for everyone.
I just, as you're doing that, I'll just keep... The cameras are spending a lot of time on Owen Farrell at the minute.
Of course they
and
are.
And Racing are doing really well. He looks like he's playing very, very well in the second half.
Right, the box kick has just gone up, if you can both see this.
I've not actually seen this at all, obviously.
So the box kick's just gone up, and Cam Anderson's come in. There he is.
Hey, it's Matt here from P1 with Matt and Tommy, and we're currently being sponsored by Peloton. Peloton has what you need to achieve your fitness goals, no matter why you got started. From 4-week strength-building classes to running, indoor and outdoor workouts, and everything in between, Peloton is here to push you to achieve your goals, just like it already has for thousands of members worldwide. I got my first Peloton bike around the pandemic. It helps keep me on track with my own fitness goals, even around my crazy schedule. Find your push, find your power with Peloton at onepeloton.com.
There's a simpler way to get your prescriptions. With TeleRx, you can skip the doctor's office and the pharmacy line. Just head to telerx.com where you can browse over 250 medications and let us take care of the rest. A licensed provider will review your request, and if approved, we'll deliver it right to your door. Fast, secure, and hassle-free. No waiting rooms, no lines, just the care you need. Try TeleRx today at telerx.com. That's TELYRX.com. TeleRx, where convenience meets care.
Ooh, and there he is.
Yeah, it's a brutal collision.
It's hip.
Yeah,
hip
it's just
to the
a horrible
head.
collision. It's a horrible collision, but it is part of the sport. And
it is.
Watch the sport. The directors have to show us that.
I don't understand what's...
Yeah, so it's just a knockout. It's a bad knockout.
The TMO wouldn't even show it.
The TMO replayed it for him to determine whether it...
But he wouldn't play it for the referee.
Yeah.
So it's like, we can't show it because of the nature of the incident. It's like, show us. Like, we've paid to see it.
Yeah. I do say, because there were other ones. Like there was the
breaks. I don't want to see.
Yeah,
there's one Northampton.
The one
game.
Northampton last year, the number 8.
Is it Lichfield?
No,
no, not Lichfield. This sounds like
the number 8 who came from
Hinkley.
No, it wasn't Hinkley.
Graham. It was Graham.
Sam Graham, running it back against. I think it was Tommy Raffel.
Yeah.
And Tommy Raffel went low, and his studs got caught in the ground, hyperextended knee. We don't need to see that again.
Yeah.
So I do think like everyone's different on that kind of stuff with the squeamishness.
I would show that again.
Yeah.
I think you have to show, and actually, I think sometimes, in the same way, it's good to kill your own food, right? Because you understand what it is. It's kind of good to show the injuries in rugby because you need to understand what it is.
Yeah.
You know, this is what we're watching. It is dangerous.
We're all adults. We can look away.
I was going to say, what was the reason it wasn't? What was the reason given for not showing it? Or what
just
was
a
the
knockout. Just a brutal knockout.
Nature of the incident. Don't want to see it again. But I think
you're probably right. As much as I actually would. I've just rewatched that.
Yeah,
I actually would watch them again. If anything, to learn from like you.
Someone's foot on back to front. Maybe
not so much.
Compound fracture.
Do you remember when Reece Webb got injured just before the World Cup? I think things like that should be shown again because it's a demonstration of exactly how dangerous technicalities of the game are. And so when we watch the game, one of the things we respect most about it is the risk that the players take. Now it can go a bit far, and I'm very, very squeamish when it comes to this. But in the same way as killing your own food is healthy, so is knowing what the dangers are, like properly knowing what they are.
I want to say the biggest issue I had with the coverage of the rugby over the weekend.
Go on.
This comes via a friend of the pod, Dave Mack. So I did not watch Leicester v Quins, but while we're talking about this
I did.
Well, yeah, I was away, but while we're talking about it, massively amazing missed opportunity by Nick Mullins.
Oh no!
Who didn't follow through on what could have been another incredible commentary gem from a man who's given us Harry Thacker, the stocky little dumper truck,
rolling ball of barbed wire,
Sinotti, the rolling ball of barbed wire. It's not one of those exactly, but I wish he'd followed right through on this.
Charging Smith, Hassel Collins, 1 step, 2 steps, and the try.
Wasn't it just begging for
Charging Smith, Hassel Collins, 1 step, 2 steps.
tickly under there?
Yeah.
As he put the ball down.
Oh dear.
That's probably a good game to talk about because we can tie both that and the Sale Sharks game together. 2 frighteningly informed teams.
Yes, I said last week I thought Sale were value at 11-1.
Yeah,
I think it's not bad money because what Sale can really what both these teams can do is beat you up front. Both Sale and Leicester have got the muscle to take apart teams up front, and then they've got some pace.
There were
to
some
finish out wide.
Names taken by Sale, Tom Curry in particular.
Yeah.
Jesus. So,
I told you baited him early on in the game and made him angry.
That was the best part of this game, which was the niggle with the England players.
Yeah.
They just were not getting on well at all.
Loved it.
I do love Tom Curry. I do love that. He just does not take a backward step, and neither does Itoji, to be fair.
No.
But
Itoji didn't have his best game.
No, he didn't. I mean, Itoji is just full of sort of annoyingness, but sometimes doesn't bring that massive physicality that Tom Curry does.
Yeah.
What I loved about this performance was the midfield defence. I thought the midfield defence, Byron McGuigan, fair play, has done a great job.
Yeah.
Absolutely superb job.
Well, and Marzi White does look legit.
Yeah.
Do you know, I was kind of mocking an article in the Times this week. And the reason I was mocking it is because it compared Marzi White to Manu Tuilagi.
I think it was Telegraph, but yes, continue.
No, it was Times.
Was it Times?
Yeah, it was Times. Oh, there could have been another one.
No, it was...
but it was because...
I think the Telegraph's one was today, maybe after the game yesterday.
Yes. Yeah. So the reason they do that, just so you know, it's not because the journalists actually think that. The journalists that write it, actually, in both cases, are really good journalists. The reason they write it is because the editors will not publish it unless it says Manu Tuilagi in it. Like, literally. The guy who plays in Bayonne.
And alternatively, I know this is... I almost don't want to say it. Because they're both...
they're Islanders. One's Tongas.
One's Islanders. If Ollie Hartley had a massively muscular, powerful inside centre display, they wouldn't make the comparison with Manu Tuilagi. It just feels, so from that perspective, feels a little bit lazy.
Yeah,
it's incredibly lazy, right?
What's his name? Will Butt of Bath. Big,
Will
strong,
Butt, yeah,
big, strong
much more
centre.
man-
Oh no, he's an Islander. Yeah,
Well,
just say Manu.
It just looks embarrassing. It looks embarrassing because
Yeah.
anyone who watches rugby knows that they're completely different players.
Yep.
And who Marcy White reminded me of was Nick Tompkins. I think he's very much the same kind of guy. Super aggressive, not that big. What I loved about him is he made his hits, and what I loved about Sale in general. So one time, Marcy White hits someone, and just because he's there and defenceless, Tom Curry ends him. So do you know when you're just completely defenceless, and then Tom Curry wants to end you anyway? That happened. And then next time, Tom Curry stops a guy, and Marcy White goes, my go, absolutely levels someone.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is a team that want to hurt you. Like, they're not just interested in winning, they want to hurt you. And I think they've got this lovely balance of raw aggression and niggle. So you watch Sale, as they get close to their line now, the way that they hound your breakdown, like Rod's over the ball, Tom Curry's over the ball, Doug Dale's over the ball.
Cowan Dickey over the ball.
All doing that.
Cowan Dickey and Dan Dupree put in a monster shot between them. Jean-Luc, sorry, wasn't it?
Cowan Dickey's
Tom Willis.
Cowan Dickey dived completely in midair and managed to hit him up, and then Jean-Luc Dupree, while he's in the air, bang.
Because
Tom Willis, who had a great game, but he was probably Saracens' best player.
Well, because Tom Willis is in the air, he has no purchase, it looks brutal. But I think the point of that is Sale got players who are willing to do that.
Yeah.
Just like Willis is the best carrier for Saracens, bar none, easily, by miles.
Might be the best carrier in the league.
He's getting there, isn't he? Do you see his carry in the third, fourth minute?
Yeah.
I mean, he's very lucky. He went through Reed like twice.
Gus War
and Ford, like the only three players in the Sale team.
Oh no, it might have been Dan Dupree because he was back off the bench. Anyway, point being, they've got Dan Dupree on the bench.
John Luke was,
and,
I'm sure.
Yeah, it might have been anyway. But they got Dan Dupree on the bench and Ben Curry on the sidelines.
It's awesome.
Injured.
They are going to be awesome. But the other thing I love is the sheer amount of attacking threat from the wings, and it just reminds me so much of Leicester. So Leicester seems to have like room filler in midfield just to bang people. Mm-hmm. And then their wings this week were dynamite.
Yeah. Well, all the back three, because Carpenter was great making breaks and offloading.
Yeah.
Roebuck for the Ford try was sensational. And Aaron Reed, oh my God.
I've been waiting for that try for years.
That try was sensational. But then Sale, 3 scores in the first half. Nothing. They couldn't get the fourth. Couldn't get the bonus. I mean, if you'd have given them a win and Saracens getting nothing at the start of the game, they would have definitely taken it. But it's slightly disappointing to get 3 tries in half an hour and then not another in the remaining 50 minutes.
It was very comprehensive in the first half. Very comprehensive.
No, I didn't actually see the second half, and I loaded up the highlights to watch to see if anything like important happened in the second half. It skipped straight from the Saracens try at the end of the first half to 80 minutes. Like Tom Curry clapping the crowd.
One George Ford penalty. Or 2 George Ford missed penalties. Just a 3 points in the second half.
George Ford is controlling that Sale team.
So good.
Dream.
He's so good.
Like, there's so many... Leicester and Sale are coming to form. I mean, if you look at where they're playing well, exactly the same. You look at what they're doing, similar. Not exactly the same. I think Sale are more muscular and better on the breakdown. But they're both very, very good.
Massive physicality and an amazing 10 takes you a long way.
It does.
It really does.
I mean, I don't know who needs to know this. You can reinvent the wheel rugby as much as you want. Some trendy coach will come along and talk about management and brotherhood and whatnot and try and offload the ball. It just doesn't really...
that is half of what Alex Sanderson has done, though.
He manages, right, to make Borthwick-style rugby sound really sexy. I think that's what he's doing. It's like Borthwick-style rugby with loads of nonsense chat, isn't it?
Whatever Sale are doing, they can get away with it because they're doing it well.
So let me just take this in a slightly different direction. Radwan, 3 tries this weekend.
Yes. Lions Bolter.
Oh, God. Do you not think that he's wasted his career? I mean, I hate talking like this because I think that it's not helpful to some of the other teams. But that guy has been playing hard professional rugby for best part of a decade.
He's 27 now.
Maybe 5-6 years.
Made his debut in 2016 for Newcastle, so 9 years.
9 years, right? And he's had 2 England caps. And he's clearly good enough. He looks better on the wing for Leicester than Anthony Watson.
Callum Chick's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why...
Jamie Blamire is going to Leicester next year.
So it winds me up a bit because these players should have had a chance. But also it makes me think, do players need the atmosphere or the culture of a team to be successful? So look at all the Wasps lads who I do not think would have been successful if Wasps had stayed. So everyone say, oh, it would be a great team. But who would they learn off? Like, look at the Worcester team. All those lads were at
Jack and
Worcester.
Tom Willis.
Yeah, but
Dan Robson.
But like Jack Willis has kicked on to another gear since he's gone to
Oh no, I don't doubt
You
it.
know what I mean?
Like with the counter factual, Jack Willis still would have been good. Tom Willis would have been good.
They would have been good.
They would have had a Poku Fajor.
Would he be good?
They would have had Marzi White.
But would it? But
They'd have had Faye Waboso. Fissalau.
But would they have been good? I know it sounds ridiculous, but if there's no one to learn off, if it's just young players together, are they going to improve? Or do you need to...
Yeah, Wasps have done well over the preceding few years to bring in a few, like a mix of veterans. Like they had Gopperth for ages, they brought in Willie LaRue, they brought in Charles Piatow.
Beale and...
they weren't that right.
Curtly Beale's maybe not the best guy to learn off.
Yeah, fair. I'm just looking at...
With Willie LaRue, take it... Oh, Sir Charles, learn off those boys.
Yard. Grizzled veteran. Knows way round.
Yeah. They had a Dogwu, Kibarigi, Bassett in their squad who would be... Will Rowlands would have still been there. They had Brad Shields at the time.
They were
gave Gabriel Ogray.
Yeah.
Man alive, their team was unreal.
It's dynamite. But did it require a change of scenery?
Jacob Umanger.
They had Vincent Koch when they finished. They just signed him. But
my point is, did it require a change of scenery for all those guys to kick on, especially the Worcester guys?
So I think the Worcester, yes, because there's a common theme here. Newcastle, terrible with some talented players. Worcester, terrible with some talented players. Common denominator?
Don't know.
Steve Diamond.
I
ruining teams,
don't think so.
holding back talented players.
I don't think that's what
That's exactly what happened. Steve Diamond calling Leicester Tigers parasites for wanting to pay Adam Radwan his worth, his market value.
Just leave him to develop in Newcastle and let him reach his potential. Completely agree with him. But look at Seb Atkinson, one of the best centres in the league. Well, he was playing Exeter this weekend.
Yeah.
There's loads of examples. Ollie Lawrence, Finn Smith.
There's lots of talent who just need opportunity. Yeah. Like, look at the boy who started for Bath this week. We've not seen him I've never seen him before. Donahue, 22-year-old fly half, looked absolutely ace.
Ace against Newcastle.
Against Newcastle, yeah, against common denominator, Steve Diamond team. Absolute gas. Phenomenal. And he's just come from nowhere. So getting talented players playing on the pitch is half the battle.
I mean, getting players out of unfashionable teams does seem to be actually quite a good idea. Look at Mort Wilson was the one I was thinking of. For years he was class. Everyone knew he was class. They didn't give him a chance until about 28. And, he's class.
Yeah,
we know this. We've been telling you for God knows how long. Like we know.
Yeah. So. He was one of those who he had about 3 or 4 good years where he made the England squad 2019.
But picked up so late.
Yeah, picked up so late and such an attritional style of rugby as well because he just put his body on the line. Much like the Curry boys, much like Underhill, much like...
Cam Anderson.
Cam Anderson.
Cam Anderson is now in the Pantheon. He is competing for the Will Addison Trophy.
The shortest career award. Like, I think he's Quagga Smith kind of boy, puts his body on the line.
Sam James and Owen Farrell's Racing 92
victorious
35 hasn't finished yet quite. 35. Joe Marchant and Zach Henry.
Do any other English
Stade
boys?
Francais. I'm just trying to think. I think there might be another one. Anyway, 13.
Oh.
So
no.
2 weeks' time, Perpignan against Stade Francais is
massive,
absolutely monumental. And if you want any more reason why promotion and relegation, I'm just going to say it again, the top 14 is French rugby. Full stop is so much better than English rugby.
Yep,
by a flipping mile. And coming back from France, I had the best time. But I just come back and I'm looking at the Premiership table and just feeling so frustrated.
Well, look, I made the prediction some years ago that French league is going to be so powerful that English rugby is going to have nowhere to go. It'll just have to bend the knee. because they can't stop the players going forever. And the more people go and watch it, the more excitement there is, the bigger the TV deals, yada, 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 the more they're going to lose the players. And eventually, they're going to overpower the RFU itself.
We have got a new Premiership Rugby TV deal, haven't we?
Yeah, 5-year deal.
5-year deal, 200 million.
Yeah, which is going to incorporate this new expanded thing where they get the old teams back and then pull up the ladder, as we talked about.
It is.
I'm not going to go there again.
But the money is an improvement from what it's been previous. So it's actually been on a downward trajectory year on year.
Good for CBC. They get a nice slice.
It's now going back up, which is a good thing for...
back up, like you... What sort of level from what to what?
33 to... So this 5-year deal is about 200 million, with the final years of the deal being over £40 million per year.
Okay.
So it's gone from 33 at the moment, back up to... Right. At the end of the deal will be north of 40. So that's a 20% increase by the end of this deal.
Okay.
So that's positive for the league.
That accounts for possibly the inflation over that period.
Yeah. It's not far off, but in a negative position, when inflation's going like that and your TV deals are going down,
correct. It's a move in the right direction.
Yeah, it's a big step in the right. Now it's nowhere near the top 14 deal, which is it's a multiple of that.
Yeah,
per season.
Well, any more games in the Premiership? I think we've done them all.
God, yeah, the top 14 deal is 128 million. So 128 million euros. So let's just call it 100 per year.
Yeah.
So 100 million.
Christ almighty.
So at the moment, that's something like £8 million per team per year.
Let me just explain.
And the Premiership is something like £4 million per team. So it's
minus
twice.
CBC share.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Minus 20. So is that 19 or 27? I can't remember.
27%.
27%.
So
so it's like it's round terms. Then it's £3 million plays £8 million.
Yeah. So let me just explain what my theory was. Okay, just so everyone knows. My theory is that the French league gets so powerful that all the money gets drawn towards it, and then as that league gets more and more powerful, it will pull in players of the highest caliber from around the world, and that will just perpetuate its success. In order for the Premiership to keep any of its players, well, its best England players, I should say, the RFU are going to have to step up and give them a massive deal. Now, this has already happened, so the RFU are now giving a bigger deal, more money to the 10 teams that exist in the Premiership than it did to the 13 teams that previously... So, it's not...
They're not getting anything more in return for that. What they get, and on top of that, they pay 17 players £150,000.
So you can already see it. You can already see this. So not only is it damaging to the Premiership, who won't be able to keep their players, it's going to be damaging to the RFU, who will then come and try and foot the bill. As they foot the bill, where is that money going to come from? It has to come from one place, grassroots game. Unless they can get more commercial revenue from the international game, that's where it's going to come from. I think the French league is going to overtake the international game. And people think I'm mad. I am not.
You have been saying that for a while.
Yeah. I am not. This is a real thing. Because you can have a big World Cup every 4 years. You can have Six Nations for a handful of games. But those massive games in France are happening year after year after year, week after week. That is where the real power is.
I would just go and watch a top 14 game. It is mad.
Mm. So the test for that will be a kind of imminent test for that will be, can they persuade more, because it happens a little bit, but more either Safas of the top tier. So I know they got Khaleesi this year for a short period of time, but there are very few Safas who are playing in the Springbok squad playing in France. And a few years ago there was plenty. So can they persuade them to come back? Is the draw of the money and the draw of the league enough to say persuade Peter Steph-Toy or Sasha Feinberg Gomazulu or Marnie Libok or one of those boys?
Japan are gradually, I think next season, and the intention is to do it more and more so, trying to remove one foreign player from matchday squads.
Japan are, because France are already.
France
16,
have a GIF system, so it's 17.
17 now.
17 out of every matchday squad have to be French
qualified.
GIF. No, they have to be GIF qualified, which means they could have been, as long as they were in the academy.
Yes.
So that's why they're getting so many kids.
There's like a Montpellier Academy in Bloemfontein or in Fiji, in Sueva.
There's stories about, there's a couple of Will Skelton, Emmanuel Meafu-sized 18-year-old Australians that are going to La Rochelle and Toulouse.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're just going to suck up everything. So there might be enough residual talent, I guess, to populate the Premiership, but it's not going to be what you need. And the same with Super Rugby and everything else. South Africa's a bit different, because as I understand it, and you might be able to fill in the details, Tim, is that not just benefactor money going to those?
Yeah, like Andre Pollard going to the Bulls was...
Marco Mazzotti.
Well, from what I understand, I don't think Jake White had anything to do with that, and I don't think he necessarily asked for that. I think the boss and a business owner, a boss and one of the sponsors said, there you go, there's £500,000 in equivalent in rand for Andre Pollard.
Marco Mazzotti.
He's Sharks.
He's very litigious.
He's the Sharks, yeah. He's got a team of New York lawyers on standby in case we say anything untoward on this pod. So we're all big fans. But obviously,
Massive
he
fans of Mr.
is
Mazzotti.
massively pumping money and he's a huge reason why the Sharks have half of the South African pack, for example, and Esther Hazen and Mapimpi and Lucanio Am, and why they beat my beloved Ulster, coming back from 19-0 down this week to win 22-19.
So they do have a salary cap in South Africa of, it's 110
something. They don't know.
million
It's in a
rand
draw,
to-
and I've not looked at it for years.
110 million rand is £4.5 million, which in South Africa goes quite a long way.
Yes,
It
it does.
but it still doesn't pay for the Sharks.
No, but outside of that salary cap, private benefactors,
Yeah,
that's all.
'cause
It's all yeah.
In Premiership Rugby, and I'm certain the top 14 is the same because of the trouble that Jaminet and Toulouse have found themselves in. Related parties, and this was one of the things that Mario Itoje specifically got caught out on, or his name was redacted in one of the versions of the salary cap report on Saracens that came out. But in the unredacted version, it was Mario Itoje who got something like £90,000 for making attendances at 3 events that never happened. They could not provide any evidence that this even happened, never mind that Mario Itoje was there.
Wasn't
and
the
that
other
was
one-
through a related party.
And the other one was the purchase of
The houses.
commercial rights for Mario Itoje.
That was another one.
That was another one.
That
And
was another
actually,
one.
That one, I think, is completely unfair, because it looks like Mario Itoje got the Royal
He might have actually got, thanks to
Nigel Ray did all right out of that.
thanks to
Yeah.
what do you call them? Jay-Z's
Rock Nation.
Grift
Grift
Nation.
Well, no, he's actually moved agencies. Do you know
Has
that?
he?
He's gone to an agency called Ten Toes. I have no idea who they are, but they've got Mario Itoje, and Grift Nation don't.
But the other Saracens' way of circumnavigating the salary cap was Nigel Ray forming a property holding company. I can't remember the exact details of it, but buying houses in St Albans, and the players basically seeing the appreciation on the houses, and he only took out like what he originally put in. So they put in 20%, he put in 80%, but his 80% would stay at 600k, and their 20% would grow by whatever the house in St Albans appreciated. By which he was trying to say, well, I know that if the house in St Albans goes down, then they take that loss, which during the period from like 2012 through
Seems
to
unlikely, doesn't it?
2018, house prices in St Albans only went one way. Oh yeah,
Good old days. Good old days.
yes,
But yeah,
very much so.
Just very quickly, I mentioned Jake White and the Bulls, and URC. There's some good games.
Well, my beloved Ulster. I don't know if you saw the 3 tries that Ulster scored.
They look
were
great.
Dynamite. Stockers, amazing.
Stockers is looking legit again.
Yeah.
Lions Stockers.
Lions Bolter. Definitely a Lions
Do you know who
Bolter.
I thought of today? I've not thought of him for a long time.
Go on.
A World Cup bolter. Who am I thinking about?
A World Cup.
And he was such a World Cup bolter that every team wanted one. Literally, he was name checked as what you want in every World Cup. And
Hold on.
Milner Scudder.
correct.
Ah.
Not heard of him for ages.
Yeah. So he went to France. He just had injuries because he was when he played in that World Cup, he was about 25. You know, it was like,
Was he?
yeah, he was a lot older than you thought he was.
It wasn't like a Theo Walcott situation.
But
No.
everyone was saying what everyone needs is a Milner Scudder. But for whatever reason, that was the thing everyone wanted. Yeah, you need to have your team, and then one World Cup bolter who is adding form or something. Just so much nonsense is spoken by rugby coaches.
So it was the 2015 World Cup. He was 25 when he went there, and because he played
I'm sure I've seen him
played for the
France.
Hurricanes for basically like 1 year. He had that season at the Hurricanes was amazing. Got drafted into the World Cup squad, was amazing. Won the World Cup. Had a few more injury interrupted. Like he played 36 games across 4 years for the Hurricanes. That's nothing.
That's not, is it?
That's like Manu Tuilagi, Leicester type numbers.
And where did he end up?
Then he went to Toulon.
Yep.
Never played. Went back to Tim's Highlanders, and then played 1 game for the Highlanders. Went to New York, Rugby New York for a period.
Hell.
So he had that one amazing year in which he won a World Cup.
Tell you what a time to have an amazing year.
To peak at the right time.
Wow.
And
6
then
months of peaking, and then World Cup, career over. I'd take that.
Yeah, did almost nothing. He won a World Cup. He only, across 3 years, got 13 caps for the All Blacks.
Amazing.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible.
I thought about him on the tram for some reason.
Anyone won a World Cup with fewer caps? I'd be...
Oh.
they must.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. He didn't win it. It's David Smith. He just played in the final. Didn't David Smith play like 1 game?
David Smith.
Have I made that up?
David Smith, the winger.
The winger
Samoan.
for France, but obviously he played for France, so he can't have won it.
No.
I'm sure he got called up.
The one that is a record and will always be a record is the 9 whose name begins with D. So French scrum half. Anyway, in 2011, he made his international debut in the World Cup final.
Oh, wow.
Who on earth is that?
I think he's still playing. 2011.
Hey, it's Matt here from P1 with Matt and Tommy, and we're currently being sponsored by Peloton. Peloton has what you need to achieve your fitness goals, no matter why you got started. From 4-week strength-building classes to running, indoor and outdoor workouts, and everything in between, Peloton is here to push you to achieve your goals, just like it already has for thousands of members worldwide. I got my first Peloton bike around the pandemic. It helps keep me on track with my own fitness goals, even around my crazy schedule. Find your push, find your power with Peloton at onepeloton.com.
My dance ties into Mother Nature. And in Wyoming, you realize how important it is to connect with everything around you. See the beautiful mountains, see the sagebrush. You're able to look out at that circle of life. In every direction, you can see it. Take what you learn and pass it on. I'm Jasmine Pickner-Bell, 2-time world champion hoop dancer, mother, and educator.
Learn more at travelwyoming.com.
World Cup. He played 9 and a tiny bit of 10.
Shocked.
Oh, no, not the guy with one massive arm. No, that was different. Rory
No,
Cocker.
not Rory Cocker. No. He was Dusan, Jean-Marc Dusan. So he came on in the World Cup final with 4 minutes to go to make his international debut.
Amazing.
Wow.
He must be the only player ever to make an international debut.
Find out where David Smith got it. I'm sure David Smith made a debut.
The Samoan winger
Yeah, I'm sure his debut was like a World Cup semi or something ridiculous.
for France.
Yeah.
Did he play for
No, was it even weirder than that?
David
Maybe he
Smith?
played for France before he played for his club. It was something bizarre.
David Smith, Rugby, not Rugby League, Rugby Union. Yeah, this boy played for Toulon, short, squat winger.
Yeah, that's the boy.
Played,
I am certain he's got something weird like his international career, but I can't remember what it is. Maybe he played for
not that guy.
Maybe he played for France before he played.
Born. There's a lot of David Smiths. Born 1988, so not him. Samoan plays with Narbonne. So he played. Not played for. So born in Samoa.
Yeah.
Capped for New Zealand Sevens. Played for the Barbarians. So
Maybe
it's
it's not him, then.
It's not this guy.
Right. I'll come back to you next week and I'll tell you the winger who I'm getting confused about. There's a French winger who just came out of nowhere and played for them, but maybe it wasn't him. But a quick story on David Smith.
This guy.
Yeah.
Not born 1957.
The actual Toulon one, right?
Yeah. The Toulon was dynamite player.
So I was
low centre of gravity.
I was flying over to Dubai, bumped into Will Cliff.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously a professional rugby player.
Yeah.
And he was in a team with Tom May, Pat Richards from Wigan Warriors.
The winger, the kicking winger.
Yeah. Dean Schofield made an appearance.
Yeah, of course he did.
And there's a few other guys, and they were good. And actually, I watched them in their first game. I was like, oh yeah, they're going to be really, really good. So they're all recently ex-pros.
Yep.
Then they played this team, and they just got absolutely taken to pieces. Yep. Like, it wasn't even close, just taken to pieces. And I sort of half recognised him, like, who's that guy? And he goes, David Smith. I was like, oh Christ, who's that guy? Henry Spates. So it was guys of Islander descent who played in France, had formed a sevens team, and then when people told me their names, I'm like, yeah, I know him. Yeah, I'm well aware of that guy, and that guy, and that guy, and they just killed them. It wasn't even close.
I mean, those two names alone.
Spate is massive.
Yeah, Spate, tremendous shape on the boy. David Smith as well. He was such a good player back in the day in that Toulon team.
Very quickly, we've got some emails and stuff, so really quickly, a comment on Christian Wade.
Oh yeah, great, love it.
Awesome. We did have one person, Nathan Graham, got in touch, contact eggchasers@gmail.com, and just said, had Christian Wade not left for the NFL and continued at a conservative 10 tries per season in the 5 years he was absent, he would currently be on over 150 tries. Would anyone have been able to get close to that?
No, probably not. He's a
probably not
machine.
Absolute machine. No, he did have. I'm sure he scored 5 or 6 tries more than once against Worcester. Against Worcester a couple of times, and I think he's on his own for the most Premiership hat tricks as well.
Adam Radwan, if he'd played for Leicester Tigers, would score a lot. I tell you, who's got a hell of a record is, well, till fairly recently in his career, every time, not Tom May. The other
Johnny May
played a full season. He was always top of the try scoring charts.
He was very handy.
He was also top of the meters run sideways charts.
He was. Correlation there.
Yeah, 100%. Today, on the way back to the airport at Bilbao, so from San Sebastian to Bilbao, me and Joe Worsley put the world to rights, and you would have loved this conversation because he was asking me about local rugby in Manchester and stuff, and he just made one comment which is so up your street, JB. I'm sure, Phil, you'd be on board as well. He said, what rugby needs to leverage is an opportunity for social integration, for belonging, for young blokes to have interaction. Because he's got teenage lads, and he just went, there's actually not people when they work, they're kind of in silos. You quite often don't work close to where you live. Mm-hmm. So actually, like that would be the selling point for rugby.
100%.
In a disparate world where everyone's on their phones all the time.
100%.
It's actually, here's an opportunity to go and hang out with other guys and
100%. Yeah, and guess what they do with it, right? So you have this opportunity, and then grifters like Lucets come in and try and ruin it for everyone. Like, that's exactly what it should be. It should be exactly that. And I think that's what Talk H does so well. It gives you a focal point to go play some rugby and actually have some mates and go out in Didsbury and get drunk. But where I think rugby's going wrong is there's lots of sort of correction of behaviour now. So you go to Clubhouse, it's not as much fun as it was because you've got signs everywhere about, I don't know, toilet equity or something. Or it's just like a continuous lecture. I think there is a real problem.
And to that, I think if rugby clubs, because I was chatting to the lads at Old Mill Hillians, they've had a tough year. They've had to have walkovers in 5 matches. They're struggling. A lot of clubs they say they used to run 4 teams, now they've just got 1.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of clubs at levels paying, and if you just invested that same money to individuals to take off home and spend, and you put it into that social process, food after games, jugs of beers.
If you're going to pay money, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Then I do think there is a need for that. And to that end, and just to tie it in with this email here, brilliant email from Donica McCarthy, contact eggchasers@gmail.com. He says, I fell out of love of rugby due to COVID, 3 consecutive shoulder dislocations and 2 botched reconstruction surgeries.
So what's it outside?
With a 3rd one pending. I was resigned to being an armchair expert. Then in September, I moved to Denmark for work. In advance of the move, I posted into a few Facebook pages, having no idea how to carve out a social life in a new country, and I was contacted by a player from the local rugby club. Rugby clubs are amazing at this.
They are.
While I could not play due to surgeries, I said, F it, I'll get involved. I contacted the club to see if I could help out in some way. My 4th day in the country, I turned up to training on a dingy pitch, arm still in a sling, post-op, and thought, what am I doing? About 12 men and 5 women doing mixed training in my... insert mandatory JB comment. It says, whilst not what I was used to in my own rugby history, I said, fine, this will do. 7 months later, I'm absolutely in love with rugby again. And in particular, my now home club, Odense. From the absolutely legendary club, men and women who've kept the club alive since its inception 45 years ago. The founder of the club putting posts up after the winter break and painting the lines on the pitch and taking time every week to try and recruit in new local schools, players in their mid-40s who've played rugby longer than I've been alive. The second half of the women's game being delayed as a new mum was breastfeeding. Old players keeping underage teams of 5 players alive and kicking to keep the supply of talent to the adult teams. A scrum machine with the tight head's right shoulder pad 20 centimetres too low because a tree fell on it years ago. A club board that operated with 3 members for the last 2 years. The sincere amateur nature of the club made me feel like family from the moment I turned up, having moved away from home for the first time in my life. It beats all the conceivable BS of the types of rugby club atmosphere that take themselves too seriously. So he's an assistant coach, and the team are cracking on. But I read that email earlier, having had that conversation earlier, and thought there's actually a need in the world for that, what rugby does right now.
All clubs.
Yeah.
It's not just rugby.
Yeah,
but
So did you see, there was an article on the BBC this week about this principle that has really kind of got me wound up. So the article was, the headline was, "We put the pressure on to join men in sheds." And so...
Oh, no, I know where this is going.
The
I know exactly
picture on the front of it is...
A woman.
So the story is Men in Sheds, which is a group like this for generally retired men.
My uncle goes every week.
Yeah, retired men up and down the country to go and have some time with retired men and do potter about and build things and do all that. And the Loughborough Men in Shed has had a group of women led by Brenda Needham have basically pecked their head and put pressure on them as they celebrate.
Excuse me, fuck off.
To join.
Sorry, I don't swear and stuff, but fuck off.
It's really got
sorry,
to me.
I'm sorry, I apologise.
It's really kind of got to me, this.
I'm so angry at that.
And
fuck off.
Brenda,
sorry. I'm going to stop.
It's so
Brenda Needham, who keeps cats, and every one of the cats hates her.
So there's this incredible line from it of you can see these men speaking to the BBC with the gun of the woman behind them to their head, and they're like, yeah, we were reluctant, but it's okay now, I guess. And one of the lines in it was, the men have retained a room in the back with a model railway that is men only, so that when they need some quiet time, they can retreat.
Oh my God.
So they've been forced in to have the whole building themselves, as all men, and then I've been forced by the women.
My heart rate is up. My blood pressure is up.
Little room. It's really, and these women are doing it for
no reason.
Well,
for absolutely no reason.
Well, no, they're trying to be well-meaning, but they just are missing
It's not well-meaning. It's a grievance. They've made it a grievance. Why? How come you've got that and I haven't?
Most of women's sport, right? I hate this. Most of it is about taking things. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's like, oh, you built a thing, have you? We'll have that. And it's like Men in Sheds. Hey, we built a thing for men in sheds. Can we have some of that, please? No, you can't. I feel the same way about rugby.
What would the reaction be if it was a load of basketball players just decided, you know what, LeBron James, I'm done with basketball. I can play netball.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not. It's worse than that. It's like LeBron James can play netball, right? It's like, I'm going to show up to Trafford Netball, and I demand a team. And if I don't get my team, I'm going to scream and shout and cry oppression and yada, yada, yada. And not only am I going to do this, I'm going to have the backing of the media, so I am morally virtuous, and I don't care how many women quit, I don't care how I ruin it for that all-woman dynamic, I don't care what happens to Trafford Netball Team. By Trafford Netball Team, shout out to them, do a marvellous job for the girls of Trafford. But why, as a bloke, do I want to ruin that? I don't. I want to support it. I want to support it to make sure there's a great netball team for girls and women going forward, which cares about girls and women, is designed for girls and women. I don't want any part of it. I just want to support them.
Yeah.
And here are these meddling idiots who, oh, you've got a rugby club, have you? Well, we'll have some of that.
Well, and back to this, the whole point, they're a controversial take in some would say. Fortunately, it feels like the worm is turning, and you're allowed to say that men and women are different again now. But the whole point of Men in Sheds is, as my uncle goes every week, and he loves it, and he says, and the whole principle is, men don't sit across from each other and have a chat about their problems. They're like, we're just tinkering on an engine, having a chat with someone side by side, and that's how men might end up chatting about.
So
you don't, and you're not there to chat. It might be.
No.
You might just build an engine.
Yeah,
I've got it, boys.
Yeah.
I've got it.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, I've got it. Okay. Problem with Men in Sheds, and there is a massive problem here, is it's kind of nebulous what they get up to. So sometimes it's sheds, sometimes you can do all sorts of stuff in a shed. So it doesn't. And I've got this idea from my dad's hobby, which is pigeon fancying. What we need is a hobby so ludicrous, so borderline, on its face.
That's why he's into
boring.
pigeon fancying.
Well, hang on a minute,
that's
right?
Genius.
Yeah, hang on a minute, right? So if we can just think of something which is unbelievably dull, like unbelievably unappealing,
so that no woman
and we
would
pretend
ever
to do that in our shed every single week, they won't join anyway.
We're doing that now, podcasting.
Rugby podcasting. You could not pay Claire to listen to a rugby podcast. We should have used this as a cover to do something far more exotic and interesting.
Smoke cigars. That's what I should have done. This should be a cigar smoking club. But we need something which is so... Right, no, this is an amazing idea, right? And what we do is we franchise it. So I can't think of the thing which is boring enough. If you can think of a thing which is boring enough or unattractive enough, much like pigeon racing, write in and we'll start franchising it, because you will not get a campaign to, I don't know, snail lobotomy or something like no one's going to want it, and we can do whatever we want.
No woman is ever going to sign up for snail lobotomy classes.
Yeah, perfect. I've nailed it. I'm sure that's the heritage of golf.
Yeah.
When you look at so many male-dominated pursuits, they are just attempts to
disappear. Leave me alone. Yeah.
Why do you think people train for marathons or Ironman events?
Yeah, symbolic running away.
30 hours of training per week. They'll be out on a bike.
I feel that all should have gone on Patreon, really. They'll give us a few negative reviews on Apple.
It's at the end, so there's only people listening now.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. People listening now are on board. And actually, do you know what? No, it's only a very noisy minority that disagree with what we've just said.
Hey, well, I'm going to tell you on Patreon why Andrew Tate is fake. Why he's not real. It's a great theory.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. And I was going to do on Patreon was something we touched on briefly at the start of this, but we didn't get into. Henry Chauvency's fly half partners across his career at Racing 92. We'll do that on Patreon, because someone emailed in with it ages ago and we never did it.
Like that. Right, patreon.com/EggChasers.
Yes.
Beardmore & Co. Financial Advisors. EggChasers Rugby on YouTube. Watch out for Phil lurking in your DMs.
Always.
I'll let the boys end.
Hey, it's Matt here from P1 with Matt and Tommy, and we're currently being sponsored by Peloton. Peloton has what you need to achieve your fitness goals, no matter why you got started. From 4-week strength-building classes to running, indoor and outdoor workouts, and everything in between, Peloton is here to push you to achieve your goals, just like it already has for thousands of members worldwide. I got my first Peloton bike around the pandemic. It helps keep me on track with my own fitness goals, even around my crazy schedule. Find your push, find your power with Peloton at onepeloton.com.
Under Biden, Americans' cost of living skyrocketed. Food, housing, auto insurance. Lawsuit abuse is a big reason everything's more expensive today. Frivolous lawsuits cost working Americans over $4,000 a year in hidden taxes. President Trump understands the problem. That's why he supports loser pays legislation to stop lawsuit abuse and put thousands back in the pockets of hardworking Americans. It's time to make America affordable again. It's time to support the president's plan.
Did you know that selling your home is one of the top 5 most stressful things you do in your lifetime? Hi, I'm Sarah Reynolds, CEO of Reynolds Empower Home Team with Keller Williams. Debbie and I are here to help remove the stress of selling your home by guaranteeing in writing that if your home doesn't sell, we will buy it. That's our guarantee. Many agents promise to sell your home, but can they guarantee it in writing? We can. Call us to sell your home today, guaranteed. 703-637-SOLD or go to DebbieHasTheBuyers.com.